we're finally back on a Thursday night.
Yes, we are.
Blossy,
yes, we are, man.
the
Good to
one-man
be
posse.
here. Good to see you, buddy. I haven't seen you in about 4 or 5 days.
It's about it. Yeah. Need to get you back over here pretty soon, or at least we have this going on, and hopefully my camera issue is kind of stuttery. Hopefully that's going to get itself resolved, but whatever.
I'm looking pretty smooth here with my new MacBook Pro.
Yeah.
Now this thing, battery life, like 18 hours on this bad boy. I'm looking at just absolutely full, just begging me to get after it.
Full 1080. Only thing now left in the show, and we can all finally be in 1080p whenever we live stream. We need our boy JR.
Yeah.
To step it up.
Who has the technology gap now? He used to make fun of me all the time. Who is like slipping now?
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
I did that to test. I wanted to see if it would. I don't know if I'm.
You're like you've got like 12 fingers.
I mean, whatever. Technology is not being our friend tonight, but
it's okay.
I mean, we have had issues, and we've recorded our Bubba show prior to this. Had a couple of little technical issues. It's a technical issue kind of night, but we're going to fight on. We're going to push through.
Fight.
I didn't freeze. I'm like an angry Bubba right now. I'm like a Bubba. We're gonna fight. It's gonna be Babyface. Babyface is gonna fight. Babyface is gonna fight Stein.
Stein and Face going at it.
Can't wait. I think they should box.
Oh yeah.
The further away we go from the show that we just did, the more I could just feel like it just got wound up, just starting to kind of get going. And there is nothing more, I don't think, that's going to get us more fired up, more pumped up than the gentleman that will be joining us tonight, Blasey.
Going to be so good. Going to be so good, folks. I mean, you know him as our resident alien expert, the one and only Bowser is in the house, and he's in studio right here across from me. So there he is, folks. There he is.
In the flesh. Flesh. Love the hat. Greetings, Earthlings. I am back.
It's a big day. It's a big day.
It's a huge day, Bowser. It is a huge, huge day, man. So good to have you back. You got to love Blasey's studio, and you're getting to see the whole ambiance that is in there now. Better lit now than it was whenever we did this over the summer from there, Blasey.
We got plenty of lights.
Looks fantastic.
Cozy layer in here.
It's a cozy layer.
Cozy.
Bowser is in the house, and so is Paul Rogers. So is the Fat Pig. The comments were there, and then they just disappeared. So I don't know what's happening on my end. Who cares? We have Bowser in the house. We have questions that have been asked and answered. Do what, Blasey?
So what triggered us to get Bowser in tonight specifically? You know what I mean? There's the big kicker. There's a reason why he's here tonight.
There's a huge reason, Blasey, and it all stemmed for me on my end, from a group text message in our Tigs Bits podcast with JR, which, by the way, JR is in Key West, okay? As always, he knows the times. He may just pop in here. I'm not expecting it from the pimp place that he sent us a video of. It looked like a damn apartment, it was a full-on suite on the water. Just wow.
Oh, dude, yeah, it was awesome. It's a house. It's a big house that they've got rented down there with the pool and all that, like right on the water. Yeah, it's a good spot. He's down there living his best life. So, yeah,
he is. He is a little bit jealous.
But setting that up for Bowser here, I want him to kind of explain it. Like you said, it started with a text yesterday that I sent out to you and to the handler, and it's like, hey guys, I have someone who's asking for 4 or 5 questions for the UFO congressional hearing tomorrow. That Lauren Boebert specifically wants some questions that we can ask. Can you give them to me? You got about 20 minutes. Go. So that's the text that I get. So Bowser, can you kind of back up and kind of explain exactly what happened here, how we got here, like, and how it turned out?
Of course, of course. Thanks again for having me on, guys. This is awesome. I mean, I feel like every time there's a big event in this UFO world, we should regroup, have this happen. I have a feeling in the near future we're going to be having some more stuff come out. That would be awesome to have kind of a chapter by chapter basis every couple months, kind of just a quick update. Because I mean, all of us agree this is incredibly important. People should know about it, be obsessed about it. It's, if not one of the biggest news stories ever, if it's all true, which, like we'll learn, I think most of it is. So, yeah, I get a text on Tuesday night. I had this hearing on my calendar marked that was yesterday, the congressional hearing into UAP oversight, which basically was more of a look into the lack of transparency with these programs. The task force that was created in 2017, basically there was complaints that there was zero transparency with these government contractors and executive branches departments with the congressional hearings and people in Congress. They weren't giving them anything. They were giving them completely redacted documents. So I get a text from a good friend, shout out Peyton Roll, Annapolis, Maryland. She's Lauren Boebert's secretary, works with her, has been for a while. When Trump gets in the White House, I believe she'll be transitioning and have a role in the White House, which will be really cool. So she sends me a text. She says, "Hey, I know you're big in on this. I don't know anything about it. You have any questions you want to ask?" And I'm like, "You just woke me up. You woke up a monster. Let's go." So as soon as I get that text, I know I got to text Chad because I know he'll have some great questions as well. So I sent her a list of about 7 or 8 questions. We, made a little Word document together. Get a text around 7 in the morning from her, says, "Lauren just approved the questions." I was like, "What?"
This is so good.
So then obviously Chad has that video of Lauren giving her the question in Congress. I think she botched it a little bit, but love you, Lauren. The questions that you asked were answered. So I will say, let's dive into this though, if you guys are ready. I've kind of been studying this all day. I listened to it yesterday. It's a little monotonous, a little bureaucratic, so it's hard to really stay super tuned in, but
we will. And that's up next. But what I do want to say this, dude, how cool is that? That is so cool, dude. He sends a text. We send in questions. She approves the questions. And yesterday at the congressional hearing, verbatim, she asked questions that we submitted to her.
It's unbelievable.
Unbelievable. That's crazy. It blew my mind when I was watching it when he texted me and said, "Hey, she used your questions." And I was like, "What?" And I looked, and that's the verbatim question. So at some point, you got to play it. I don't know if you can play it.
Brandon, I don't have it queued up to play, unfortunately.
Well, it'll be a great short at some point. It'll be fantastic.
We'll make a clip.
I just think it's so cool that we now, our resident alien expert, has the ear of Lauren Boebert, and she is helping in U.S. congressional hearings for UFOs and getting information, and we're submitting questions. This is great. Anyway,
this is fantastic. And Bowser, before you dive into that, Fat Pig, good to see you. Paul, good to see you. Fat Pig says he hope it wasn't him who had the video taken down. No, we just decided to table that sucker. It's still it's just private. We got a little off. We all dove a little deep there towards the end. So some things are just better to kind of
totally all good. Yeah,
it's some of those things you got to live and be there in the moment. You were there, we were there. It all happened. It was fun. I enjoyed the hell out of that night. It was just a blast. But decided just for the sake of I don't really want my mom and dad to see that necessarily.
And it wasn't that bad. It
wasn't that bad.
And we just got a little off the rails, and that's fine. And that's
a little off the rails.
Fun about these things.
It was fascinating, and everything still stands.
If you were there,
yes,
great. If not, you'll never see it.
That's right. That's right. You had to be there. So anyhow, appreciate you, Fat Pig. Appreciate you, Paul. I know others that are out there. Y'all jump in the chat, but I'm going to shut up and
give the floor
listen
back.
Now. Bowser
has
the floor. The Bowser Hour.
Let's get it. All right. So this is kind of just an update. I will say, I know we kind of gave an intro last time I was on. We kind of covered all the basis, all the conspiracies, all the theories, a bunch of landings. We kind of did a historical lesson into UFOs, which now are called the UAPs, unidentified aerial phenomena, aeronautical phenomena, whatever you want to call it. So Yesterday at the hearing, like I said, this is basically kind of trying to squash the lack of transparency between contractors and the Congress, people in Congress, so that people in Congress can alert the people. Now, there are 8 people in Congress. I think it's called like the selected 8, something like that, where they are supposed to know everything, but they're allowed to keep it secret from public if they deem that responsible or safe for the safety of the nation, right? So the first article of the U.S. Constitution requires congressional oversight over all executive entities. So that would be CIA, FBI, NSA, NASA, so on and so forth. Obviously, as we probably know, that hasn't always been followed. But yesterday, the biggest thing to come out of the hearings was the program called Immaculate Constellation. Now, this was a 12-page document that was released yesterday, kind of breaking this down. But basically, Immaculate Constellation was the program that was created by the defense contractors and different state entities when the UAP task force was assigned in 2017. This program was their answer to say, oh, yeah, we'll get it taken care of. But they redacted everything. They never had any communication whatsoever. So yesterday at the hearing, one of my favorite guys that I really like listening to, his name is Luis Elizondo. He was a high up at the Pentagon, ran many top secret programs, and now has come out, written books about these UAP programs and how he thinks that it's irresponsible and morally I can't say that word. I'm sorry.
I'm with
Morally
you. Yes.
wrong that the people and Congress aren't knowing about these details. So the main takeaway from the hearing was basically that, yes, confirmation, we have received UAPs. UAPs are real. We don't know where they come from. They are non-human. So whether that's from a different planet, people can speculate on wormholes. People can speculate on all that. I know Blassy's big into the Ashton Forbes Malaysian flight. That's fun rabbit hole to go down.
Yeah.
So the confirmation of that, one thing as soon as that was confirmed for me, one thing that I really found kind of, you could throw it back to the Bob Lazar story. Because basically this confirmation that, yes, we've had programs for decades that our main objective is to retrieve crashed UAPs and then try to reverse engineer them for our own benefit, right? That's what Bob Lazar's story was, which he had been discredited on for almost 50 years now. So that story, I think, is worth a second look at this point. If he is now being confirmed and saying, yeah, I worked at this program where basically we recovered these crashed entities and had to reverse engineer them. The other stuff he's saying, we might not have to take with a grain of salt anymore and say, well, what else did he know? So some of the cooler things I said was we're actually currently confirmation. We're paying several people disability every month for injuries they received in these UAP re-engineering and reconstruction programs. So that's on record. We're paying out people who have been messed up. I mean,
That's crazy.
I can only imagine the freak injuries that have occurred in these.
Jeez.
So, yeah.
In
deaths, and I mean, people have died trying to re-engineer.
Oh my gosh, no doubt, dude. Dude, the whole thing is so crazy. And like we were talking about earlier, Ashton Forbes, so this guy, it's been going on and on talking about, he's one of the ones, that's really big on the 0 point energy, is like basically harnessing energy at no cost, which is a scary thing, right? And that technology, where it came from, and some of the validation as you start looking at what they've been doing with these crafts and the reverse engineering, is it there? And then you take a look at this whole Immaculate Constellation thing. So the whole idea behind that is it's just like almost like a Star Wars dome where they're looking and monitoring all UAPs, and they're basically videoing and seeing everything. Well, this video recently of that Malaysian Airlines, that was it MH370?
Yeah.
Dude, it shows like a infrared image, right? And you see that going, and you see the orb spinning around it. Then you see the thermal imaging and the plane flying, and people are like, dude, they didn't real. Nobody just recorded that plane. But yes, they do. They record everything. So yeah, that's why there are two different things. It now backs up to the fact they do see everything. They record it all. And then you see this plane, and he's been saying forever, this is not a phony film. Real footage, guys. Y'all need to recognize this is real footage. Nobody can debunk it. It's not fake. There's been some fakes out there. People added stuff to it, but suddenly that plane just goes, whoop, and teleports to somewhere, you know, and it's gone from the sky. That happened. That is technology that is here today that looks like there's a lot of evidence. And this hearing, I felt like backed that up a little bit more too. And they talk about this whole immaculate constellation. It just makes Ashton Forbes look really like, I've been telling you guys, they film all this stuff. That's why there were 2 different pieces of footage on this, you know, they're filming everything. So
he's now following us on X, by the way.
Oh, is he?
He is. He is. I followed him today. I watched that video that you sent me, or that Spaces or whatever, and fascinating. Yeah, he talked a little bit about that dome and how we've had these cameras that are, you know, infrared, regular cameras, all that stuff. What do you think's all up there in space? You know, it's not just satellites to do the internet. It's not just Starlink, though. Probably more Starlinks up there now than anything, most likely.
Yeah, there's a ton of that, but they're looking at everything. It's like what's her name, Nancy Mace. I was looking at a little YouTube video today where she was talking about that hearing and like talking about this whole immaculate constellation. And it's like, no, there's evidence on this. There's document. This is a program. You know what I mean? This is actually, they know what's going on here. You know what I mean? They're seeing, there's even reports of like they said like a football field size craft. And they're looking down on it from a satellite above. It's hiding in the clouds, but the picture's being taken behind it. And it's like this monster craft, you know, like, what is this? So that's got to be confirmed or whatever. So no, anyway, it's absolutely, it's crazy.
Bonkers.
It's wild stuff. Yeah.
Kind of leading off that, which is cool. I mean, I understand this whole hearing probably is not going to give us every video of every UAP ever filmed, right? There's this thing called the Galileo project that Harvard started, where it's basically going to be open source footage. They have these incredible, they almost look like UFOs themselves, but it's infrared, thermal, and it'll be like 24-hour live stream. They're going to put them up all over the globe so people can always watch them. So that'll be really cool. But yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah. That will be awesome.
Yeah. Things
moving on here.
Weird.
Yep. Yeah.
Things are just getting weird because they're on here. They're on Earth. They're among us.
Yeah, I think so too. I think one sitting across from me.
I agree.
He's a good one. I mean,
yeah,
I think
for
it's
sure.
quality.
No, I mean, he's here to teach us.
I think so too.
I'm just trying to warn you guys. You know.
Thank you. We need it.
One of the cool things they brought up in the hearing was one of the congressional members posed a question: "Are you sure these aren't humans? This could be China." You know, some old guy. He's like, "I was just China," you know. So he basically said, "Obviously, we can't confirm nor deny that, right?" But he was like, "In my professional expertise, this is non-human." And one of the statistics he used to back that up was basically human body can withstand 9 G's of force before it starts to black out, red out, or even go into death, right? And that's like top of the line pilots. The F-16, which is one of the most advanced space or aircrafts we've ever made, before it starts to fall apart, you can get to like 16, 17 Gs before the wings actually start to deteriorate and the mechanical integrity of that structure starts to fall apart. He said there's recording these aircrafts going 2,000 to 3,000 Gs, which is unheard of. So that means obviously there might be some sort of, interior protection, kind of like how, I don't know, like you're not affected by the G's if you're inside of this aircraft, but we never know, so.
And they may their bodies may be made in a way that gravity doesn't affect them, or obviously they're not dying, so something's happening.
Yeah, that's crazy. Is there technology in that plane to somehow create like a reverse inertia before you go into that position, right? You know what I mean, to kind of balance and offset. So it's just like you're in a pivotal bubble or something. I don't know, man. It's crazy. It's past our understanding. That's the whole purpose of it.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like they're just way beyond us. So,
but Bob Lazar can help bridge that gap with your understanding relatively fast. Yes.
Yes.
I mean,
he has that great bowling ball analogy where he talks about if you put a bowling ball on a piece of foam and you like push down in front of the bowling ball, that bowling ball moves without you touching it. And he said there's some way that element 115 affects gravity to the point where the ship isn't being propulsed, it's moving the gravity around it so that it can travel through space-time seamlessly. So
yeah, there's
3 really cool facts that I wrote down that I think are the most important. First of all, out of this hearings, they said that there's a new obviously we know the saucers, we know the discs, we know the boomerangs, we know the tic tacs, the crosses even sometimes. There was a new one they had footage of where it looks like a huge jellyfish floating over the ocean with no obvious signs of propulsion, but it had like legitimate dangling things under it. And they were like, so they're just getting fancy. They're just running up the score on us now with these shapes.
Or do you think it's because we have more cameras?
I think it's probably we're now seeing, now that we're looking for them and we have the technology to see these, you know. So
yeah, I mean, there's literal eyes in the sky. Everybody has a camera, pretty much for the most part. Cameras mounted on ships and things like that are out in the ocean, and then just the military technology that's out there. And as you say, we're actively seeming to be looking for them a little bit more than ever before, because it's real and everybody knows, and we're having these congressional hearings about this stuff. But guess what? It's not just being blasted everywhere. At least it isn't on my feed, like in Twitter and on X. Like, you would think that would be up at the top. You'd think Elon Musk would be talking about this stuff. He knows.
I can't either. I can't believe either. It was funny. I didn't know anything about this hearing until Bowser sent me that text last night. I had no idea there was a hearing today. It's like, and then it's really, there's been a few people go out and talk about it, but like, it's kind of got brushed under the rug. It came in quietly right after the election. You know, everybody's just kind of like, oh, taking a decompress. Oh, by the way, we're going to do another UFO congressional hearing. What?
Like, exactly. That's exactly kind of like Jeff Landry did with Omar the Tiger at LSU. You know, just kind of slipped that in. And then that Sunday, they'd made one of the biggest tax decisions that affects multiple things in the state, including some other things. So yeah, it was just a smoke and mirror deal.
I saw where the student body voted to never ever allow a tiger to walk into that stadium.
I don't know if that happened, but I hope that it did.
I saw that today. I saw that today, like a report. I don't know. I can't confirm it. You know,
that's crazy.
Yeah. Anyhow, I think that guy's
Thanks,
an
Obama.
alien. But please continue, Bowser. We don't want to go off track here.
No. So as I was saying, there's the three biggest takeaways that I had from reading everything and watching that hearing. Were the first kind of branches off your military point, where what they reported is that these things are mainly spotted over highly secure military bases. So that means that they know what we're doing, right?
Yeah.
This is a direct quote from the document. The U.S. government has communicated with non-human life forms, and these life forms can interfere with our nuclear capabilities. So that's confirmation there. The second kind of leads off of that, which is there's been recorded talk of recovered alien bodies at the Pentagon, which have been collected for many years. So that's crazy.
And it's very
at the Pentagon. The bodies are at the Pentagon.
Yeah, I don't know if they are anymore. You know,
it's just like in Independence Day.
This is great.
Yeah,
go ahead. Or is it?
It's something.
It is what it is.
There was an interesting point in the hearing where Nancy Mace asked the Luis Elizondo guy, who was kind of the main point of all this information. She said, do we have the program, the Interstellar or Immaculate Constellation program, where we go out, recover these UAPs and try to reverse engineer them? He said, yes. And then she said, do any U.S. contractors have the same? And he hesitated. He said, I would prefer to answer that in a closed session, ma'am. So that means that if he didn't know that guys like Lockheed, who aren't accountable to taxpayers, right?
No oversight.
If he knew these guys didn't have these programs, he'd say, I don't believe so, or I don't have any knowledge of that, or I don't know. But because he's under oath, he knows that he says yes, they can come after him. You know, they can whack this guy easier than anybody else. So he's like, let's take that off the books. So
it's a wise move.
That's scary. That's really scary. Like you said, like, you know, there's no oversight over that. There's, you know, they're kind of just running cowboy over there. Let's see what we can do with this technology. You know, I don't know, you know.
And I think the biggest takeaway from this hearing is that we didn't learn anything relatively new other than we got confirmation of what we had been speculating for a couple of years now is the case, right? So now that that's confirmed and we have some legitimate action being taken by Congress, I also think the Trump administration coming in he's going to be a little bit more lenient with this information. I think he's going to put some people in place who will allow for some of this to come out in a safe manner. I think it is important. We can't probably just dump everything we know about it, because then, people would freak out. But
well, I mean, you're going to uncover JFK's assassination. Who knows what that's tied back to? I mean, it just goes all the way back. Even listen to what's his name, Ashton
Forbes. Yep.
Yeah. I mean, even listen to him. You go back to Tesla and Einstein having parts of that in the 1943 deal. What is that 1943 deal that they're talking about, Bowser?
I'm not sure exactly what that is. That's an Ashton thing?
Yeah. I guess so. Yeah. And I'm not either. He goes back and starts looking at because he's more concerned about the energy side of this and the technology that we have, that we're covering up, that we don't have. That's the big part that he gets into. So I don't know exactly what the 1943 is. He's such a deep dive, dude. Like,
yeah. Well, I know Tesla's engineering and his discoveries in electricity. I know that's the conspiracy behind it is that Edison shut him down for capitalistic purposes, being like, we need a monopoly on this market, blah, blah, blah. But what he was diving into and what he was figuring out is really tragic that it didn't take traction in the world. So, but
yeah. Did you ever play the video game Red Dead Redemption 2? Did you the guy
one of the greatest of all time?
No doubt. I love the guy who was basically Tesla. That, and you had to do all those missions. I thought that was just a nice touch. It was fun.
Yeah.
But it was that kind of energy and stuff. I mean, it works. It's been proven that it works. He was obviously super sharp cat, but anyhow.
I'll have to look into that 1943 meeting, because
I'm curious as to
cool.
what that is, what they're talking about, because it has to do something with energy, something to do, I guess, with nuclear things. I would think at that point in time it would be all that.
Yeah, it would make sense that if you're close to building a nuclear bomb, and I mean, if you've seen the movie Oppenheimer, it shows kind of that lead up of how seminal that was for the world. Those guys knew, like, hey, this is going to change everything, right?
Yeah.
So it would make sense that you'd call on Einstein and Tesla and be like, all right, what could go wrong?
Yeah. That'd be a couple of good ones. And they didn't know. They didn't know everything. They, even then, it's crazy that the stuff still that gets proven from them that they did all the way back then, and it's 50, 60, 80 years later. Oh yeah, they were right.
And I think that's one of the most valid answers to when these aliens started showing up is as soon as we lit the nuke off, they were probably like, what are these monkeys doing? Oh, they have nukes? We got to start monitoring them.
Yeah. We can't just let these monkeys.
These guys are going to kill themselves.
They're going to flat out blow themselves up. And I think ultimately at the end of the day, that's what's going to happen to all of us. That's how it's going to go down.
Isn't that crazy? That we just so dang like narcissistic as beings that at the end of the day we're just going to blow each other up. We're all going to just blow the whole planet.
So somebody's going to
just to prove a point.
That's exactly right. So
that's crazy.
Hopefully that's why they're here. Yeah.
I'm hoping that they're here to prevent that and to kind of help us out. And maybe they're the protectors of Earth. Maybe this has happened before.
Maybe so. Because if they wanted to blow us up themselves, they could have done that already,
Yeah, they could take over. There's no...
They're
bigger, better, stronger. Yeah, we have no chance against
There's also that great analogy where it's like when you pass an anthill, like the ants don't know you're there, right? So, and then finally one day maybe you step on one or two and they're like, what's going on? There's this huge rubber thing that's killing our buddies or whatever. So maybe it's possible it's like that zoo theory where they kind of look at us like a zoo. They're kind of monitoring us and we have no idea, we can't see where they're at. But now that technology's become exponential to the point where now we're starting to wake up and be like, what's going on? So
yeah, what is happening?
Yeah. So I'm really happy with the congressional hearing. I thought it was a good step forward. Like I said, that's not like they came out with a gray guy and was, escorted Nancy Mace out. That would have been pretty cool. But it's a good step forward. I think it's going to set the groundwork for some good investigations into these. I think that in the coming months, we're going to have a lot of information come out, and it's going to be in just like bureaucratic DOD documents, probably redacted, but there's going to be some breadcrumbs in there that we'll find, and we'll give to the Tigs Bits audience. So.
Yeah.
Yes, we will. Yes, we will. I got to pose a question here. Like if tomorrow, like some, major emperor of some world shows up in a giant craft, like, oh, they're here, what I mean, floating up there, and they demand for a spokesman to come up. Who's that spokesperson? I think I know who it is. It's got to be, right? Who do we send? From one person from Earth?
I mean, I'm sending Donald Trump for sure.
I know. I'm sending.
Tries to give him the handshake, pull him in.
Give me
gonna
Elon.
get killed.
You got to give me Elon. I think
Our
Elon represents Earth. I think he's Earth representative in that moment.
I don't know if he's from here though. I don't know if he's from Earth.
That's true.
That's a problem for Elon.
We'd send him up, and he'd be like, "Thanks, I'm going home."
Exactly. Rainey says Elon. Elon is
he's Earth. Yeah, he should be Earth's representative in that meeting.
Yes, he's the Minister of Information for Earth.
Yes,
kind of like Matthew McConaughey is at Texas, the whatever he is, the minister of whatever.
Or we could really mess with him and send Shaq and then Brad Holmes, the midget. I think he's the Game of Thrones actor, so he might be the comedian. But just really throw him off. Be like, what's going on here?
Just these are the two extremes.
Yeah.
There is no middle with us. Middle, nuclear bombs.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I mean, that's a good question, Blasey. I mean, who is your representative? And I'm sure that there are other foreign powers and people in foreign countries that would be like, y'all don't need these clowns going. You need this guy. This is our guy. We just don't know him.
Dude. No.
We just don't know who they are. But
who sends Zelensky up? He'll ask him for some money.
Hey guys, I got
yes,
this
he
one.
will.
I just think we're closer to that date where they eventually go like, okay, these guys are in the know now. The whole planet's up in arms. They demand answers. We got to go down there and talk to them.
I think best time to do it would be the Super Bowl. Halftime show, the Super Bowl.
That would be awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, we should schedule it.
I mean, I think that's also been portrayed in movies, but it would make sense. You have the world's attention. All eyes are a majority of eyes all across the world are watching. What better time than to make a statement? Talk about a Goodyear blimp moment. What?
Would you even play the second half or like?
God, no. If that happened, there's no way. There's riots everywhere. Detroit is gone.
No,
California partially gone. Like Philadelphia done. Yeah, they're the first I think of. I don't know why. Just like they're going at it.
Dan Campbell would be pissed. He'd be like, "Get off my field. We got a game to play."
Exactly.
Football guy.
I mean, I would feel the same way too. Like, what's going to happen in the second half? Let's keep going. We'll deal with this later. Looks like the world's dealing with it, but it would just be pure chaos. Just chaos.
Wow, it really would be. It would be nuts. I think we're closer to that. The more these hearings keep coming out, the more information that keeps being released. Like eventually, they got to talk to the damn ants. Look here, ants.
I will say one little bit before we wrap up the aliens. Just one other thing. I think, did I say this already? That Lockheed was in the process of transferring non-human technology to Bigelow Aerospace before the CIA shut it down. So they were working on. Yeah, they were working on spreading this around to other people, and then CIA came was like, nope, can't do that. So I think Lockheed is the guys that they're really.
You think they know more than anybody, more than Boeing, or you think it's Lockheed?
I think there's a conglomerate of high-ranking Pentagon officials and Lockheed Martin guys that are interchangeable. They're lifelong contractors, and I think they're the ones that have this on locks. So, and if it's for a good reason, if it comes out that they were hiding it for a good reason, then all power to them. But I think it's probably more of a like Lord of the Rings. Once you have the ring of power, you don't want to let it go. So
right. I mean, if can you imagine if we actually have had free energy since the 40s? You know, for almost 100 years, we've just casually have had it, but we haven't known exactly what to do with it. But you don't need electricity anymore. You just have this. This is all that you need. It eliminates all these businesses. You don't need, I mean, dude, that trickle down that would go from
Oh, it would
that
be devastating to the
it would be
economy. Yeah.
devastating for all economies, for all
Yeah.
around the world. And you have to think that that's the only reason that these governments withhold this information. It's like they're sitting on the ultimate trump card, and they have them in Russia, they have them in France, they have these everywhere. And I think that the leaders know. Anybody who has a military would know that these things exist.
Oh yeah.
You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, we've got to question our boy, our DJ Jacob Trahan.
Oh,
Ask
that's a
us.
DJ. That's right. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
our
Yeah.
DJ. That's right.
There you
Yup,
go.
He
the
wanted to
Tic
know
Tac.
about the Tic Tac. Yeah,
That was
explain that a little bit
Commander
for
David
everybody.
Fravers, I believe. Basically, that was one of the first piece of footage that came out. I think it was 2021, maybe even 2019. It was the legitimate F-16 footage off of the USS Nimitz, I believe, where they saw that they got really radar locked on these Tic Tacs moving around. And the best thing about that video is hearing the pilots talk to each other because they're like, "Look at that! What is that? It's moving like crazy," you know. And all of a sudden, it just blasts off. One of the cooler stories about that is that they reported that one time they were doing a training mission, right? And so these coordinates had been pre-mapped out. They start at one point during this mission. They see the Tic Tac. They start, following that. They're like, "All right, hold up. Let's put this training mission on close." All of a sudden, Tic Tac, like 60 miles in the blink of an eye, goes to the point that they were going to end their training mission on. They're like, "How did it know where we were starting and ending?" They're like, there's no way that's chance." But yeah, so hey, good question, Jacob. I love it. That's a really good rabbit hole to go down there. Is David Fravers? He's come out about a lot of this. I think he'll play a big role in a lot of this coming out in the near future. So
Yeah, I mean, you can go and watch some of his interviews and stuff on Joe Rogan, and I mean, it's hard to sit there and listen to those guys and be like, you know what, they're flat out liars. Like, in our
It really
Bubba
is.
show that
It really
in our
is.
Bubba show that we did, we kind of talked a little bit about your boy Matt Geitz and how he's maybe not necessarily like the most believable looking person. Like you look at that guy and you're like, yeah, he's kind of full of it. He's those guys. I don't get that vibe from them. Like they're telling the
No.
truth.
No,
You
not
know,
at all. Yeah. No,
they're
not
not
at all.
trying to make money. They don't have book deals. They haven't capitalized on this fame, if you will, at all. So I think that they're doing it for the right reasons. And I mean, the videos don't lie. That's insane things that are unexplainable. Dust doesn't move like that. Just, you can't replicate it unless it's actually happening.
And I'm hoping that what these hearings do and what this new information coming out does is inspire more people to come out and say, "Yeah, we saw this. I have this footage. We have this documents." I'm hoping that this will inspire people who have been kind of suppressed by this information to come out and open it up to the world. So, because the more dots we can start to connect, the more we can kind of piece it all together.
For sure. For sure. Chat, y'all need to chime in too. You got some questions for Bowser. We kind of wanted to get that part of this out, kind of get it all explained. Take a deep breath, and I mean, it's a lot to unpack and digest. And if you were with us the last time we visited with Bowser, that was a lot to unpack and digest. But we talked a lot showed videos in that one of the Tic Tac. I do believe that we had that and a couple of other videos that we added to that whole conversation too. So go back. Can't remember the name of it right now, but it has the same thumbnail that this one does with the little aliens until I change it where Lauren will be the cover of this thumbnail. I just hadn't had a chance to make it yet. But I can't believe that somehow or another our little show managed to catch the ear of her. That
we are impacting congressional hearings Tigs Bits podcast. You heard it here first, folks. Listen, Tigs Bits podcast is impacting congressional hearings. Our questions are being answered on,
and that's historical record.
It's mind blowing.
Historical record.
See, I sent a message to Alex Stein. I asked him, did he have a question? And I was like, because I was reaching out,
This is your chance.
And I didn't get anything from it. Now he hearted it and thought it was great, but it was like 45 minutes later. I mean, it was a 20-minute little window thing that we had to deal with there,
it was a short window to get
but
it in.
I called on Chad and he delivered.
He always does.
Makes diamonds.
He always does. We need to get her on the show now somehow or another. We need to use your contact to get her.
I'll
to
see what I
visit
can
with
do.
us.
That'd be great.
I'm excited because my friend will be moving. She'll be transitioning to the White House team as soon as the Trump administration rolls in. So cross fingers. Maybe that gives us a little bit more access to what we can uncover on the show. Yes.
Exactly.
We'll see what happens.
Well, this alien thing may grow legs this year. This 2025 may be the year of the alien.
The year of the alien. 2020, 2024 and 2023 have been the years of AI.
Yep, that's true.
So it's all been a setup. We figured out
and we may be center stage to this thing. We may be right in the middle of it. Tigs Bits just lands itself right in the middle of the whole deal.
They'll play these clips in the documentary in 20 years.
They will. They'll be like, how did those guys not have more people, thousands and thousands of people watching them whenever they went live? They have like 10 people in a room. I don't understand what they're doing. It's like, hey, this is how it works.
Keep it going.
It's like investing in, Apple, in the 70s, you know what I mean? Or, any other great idea, Tesla, 10, 15 years ago, just like it's the same thing, dude. That's exactly what Tigs Bits is. We're going to bring so much to the table with our alien experts that we have here, which right now he's run to the front of the pack as the leader of our correspondents coming in that can really drive change in 2025. So
really
no pressure, Bowser. I think, but no, there's no pressure because I think he's positioned properly.
What I would like to do is next time because of this whole hearing, I've been a little unprepared. I would like to prepare. I'm assuming that with this hearing, a lot of footage is going to come out. There's going to be some new stuff. There's obviously already videos out there like the Nimitz, Tic Tac, and all that. But it'd be really cool to put together a montage of all the different sightings, all the different ways that these things are operating. Year of the alien. Let's go, Paul. But it'd be really cool to put that together just so we can sit there, watch it, comment on it. People can see and they can be like, "Oh wow, we've seen all this. That's crazy." So,
yeah, this whole show just kind of developed last night. I'm not gonna lie to everybody. Blasey and I were going to film a Thanksgiving show that would be released on our Right Now TV, and we have scratched the Thanksgiving show. Maybe period, but we may go live on Thanksgiving week, Blasey, and do a Thanksgiving show.
Never know.
We'll see.
Never know.
We'll see.
And who knows? That might be the new Pilgrims and Indians, is us and the aliens. They might come on Thanksgiving. We'll have a little get together,
As long as we're not their feast, then I'm cool with it.
Yeah.
I just don't want to be on their menu.
True.
And they're not going to be on mine. I don't know what one tastes like, but I guarantee you somebody in South Louisiana does.
It is funny. I wonder if any guys in the Pentagon ever took a bite out of one of the aliens' legs and be like, "We're just saying, cook it up, a little barbecue sauce on that." You got to see what it tastes like,
I would 1,000,000% cook an alien just to see what.
Oh, you get on that back strap or something? I bet that back strap's tender like it is on anything.
If they're listening, we're just
alien
joking.
Back strap. Total joke, guys. Total joke.
Just they can read our thoughts. If they're here, they're way ahead of us. That's exactly, an ant is exactly what we are. We're just a little bug to them. They're bugs to us.
That's true.
We're just little bugs to them. But yeah, I guarantee you could slow smoke one at 250.
Get
Roast
that
it like
falling
a
right off
pig.
the bone. Yeah.
Especially them smaller ones, kind of like a small little, like you do.
Like a yearling pig.
Yes, exactly.
A little bitty alien would be, it's delicious. No one's ever had a better alien.
What's for dinner, Mom? We're eating galorp from Jupiter. Fried galorp,
exactly. Oh, man. Great. Yeah. Where do you think they come from, though? You mentioned wormholes.
Yeah, so I mean, people have speculation. It's obviously either somewhere interstellar, other galaxies, other places in the universe. Wormholes are big if you can come from other, if you believe in the multiverse theory and you could travel through those, right? Some people believe they're demons. So, some sort of angelic, demonic force that's flying around. So, like I said, I'm hoping that we can start to figure that out because the videos and all is cool, but the speculation on where the hell are they? Where are they coming from? That would be really cool to figure out. So
Where do you think Earth will be 100 years from now with technology? Where do you think civilization will be 100 years from now with the alien answer?
Wow.
I think we'll have it,
Do you
and
think
I
we'll
think
have the answer
and
within 100 years?
I think within 100 years we'll have it, and I think within 1,000 years we'll be the aliens for the next apes we find.
You think we'll start to leave Earth and start to explore other planets within 1,000 years?
I'm optimistic. Yeah, I think within 100 years we'll be have starting to travel to Mars. Hopefully, we can get some sort of. Musk's whole plan, which I really respect on Mars, is like the people who give grief to that idea are thinking that he's trying to open up like resorts there and stuff. And it's like, why would I ever go live on Mars? It's like it's a hedge for humanity.
Yeah.
If something wipes this planet out, we need to have another place so that we don't lose the light of consciousness. So.
Speaking of Elon, do you think he's taken on a little bit too much more than he can chew, basically? I mean, you can only do so many things.
It's
Probably, but
unbelievable, isn't it? But he's the guy. If anybody can do it, it's him, right? I mean, he always adds and adds and adds. I mean, that's the only thing that's consistent about him is he continues to add, and he has the capacity to do so somehow. You know what I mean? He doesn't take away from anything that's going on because he puts the right people in place to run the things behind him, and he goes in and checks in on them. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I say no. I think he's capable of this and probably more.
It's gonna be interesting to find out. I hope. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, there's no reason for me to say that he can't because he hasn't proven any different, like you
No.
said. So, I mean, I'm pulling for him. I love Elon. I love what he's done with X. I know a lot of people are leaving X. Speaking of, if you're gonna leave X, you don't have to be all dramatic and leave a post and say I'm leaving. Just leave.
That's
yeah,
Just
it.
you're
leave.
not dying.
You're
For
not
deleting an
dying.
app.
It's not the end of the world. It's a social media platform, and you're going to be everywhere else. Guess what? If we left X tomorrow, no one would care. No one would care. They would find us on Facebook or somewhere else.
Yeah.
It's so stupid. That's just a little pet peeve. I had that in my show notes for our show before this, Placey, that one to hit. It makes sense to talk about it now. You gotta, if you're gonna leave, Don Lemon, I'm looking at you, others, a dude that we do our Right Now TV with. He's gone. The film critic guy. He's
Oh, is he really?
yeah. He's like, I'm out of Twitter. Like so now is the time that you're like it wasn't a year ago whenever every post that you saw had porn in it somehow or another, just full on, that didn't do it.
That
All
was the
the
Wild
child
West.
extor all of that, none of that did it, but Trump winning the election, that's what's going to push you over. I think it's more that Elon owns it more than anything, but so you're going to go to a better place that's ran by Mark Zuckerberg? All right, dude. Good freaking luck. And thanks for telling us because no one gave a shit.
No, not at all, man. Like really not. That's probably his most
I'm
viewed
not
video.
sorry.
I think that was his highest viewed video probably on X. I had no idea. I'm just saying that, but I bet it is.
Don Lemons
Yeah, that was. Yeah, I'd
probably
never seen.
was.
I didn't even know he was on X. I remember that
Yeah,
first interview he
exactly.
did, and he botched that whole interview. And after that, I hadn't heard from him. I thought he left then. I didn't know he was even here.
Yeah, I thought he left after the whole botched Elon interview
did
as
too.
well. And it's like, oh, your show continues. What happened is I think that he actually thought he was going to come on to X and compete with Tucker Carlson.
He did.
He actually
I
thought
think he really thought that. He got fired from CNN for God knows what. Though I will admit he's from Baton Rouge. we got to claim him, I guess. At his New Year's Eve shows, those were hilarious. when he would cut, he was great. Other than that, I think he'd be a fun dude to drink a beer with, hang around. Other than that, no, I'm sorry. He's a drama queen
Hey,
or
I will
king.
say, as Vivek and Elon start this Doge Department of Government Efficiency, a lot of
Can't
people are
believe
going
it's
to.
come to fruition.
That's crazy. I mean, it's crazy. And then another big news from today is RFK is health minister, I believe, right?
Yes.
So that'll be cool. I know he's got a lot of avant-garde ideas that I think will be healthier for America. But as these people start to implement these ideas and people lose their jobs and industries start to kind of shake a little bit, be weary of some hit pieces on these people.
Oh, they're
There's
gonna
going to
be
be some stuff.
coming.
There's going to be some. Yeah,
It's about to
exactly. So just
start.
be
It's
wary.
about
Yeah.
to start now. They're going to lead that all through December, and then jump right in once confirmations start in late January, early February. Yeah, they're building it up. The folks who didn't win the election are going to have they're going to come back and they're going to fire back and they're going to land some shots. I
It's
mean,
going to be
that's
interesting that there are no hearings because they recess the hearings and they drive all these people through immediately. See, that's what he's pushing for. Because he didn't have time to wait. He's got 4 years, and he's like, let's don't do the dog and pony show. It is kind of ridiculous they do that dog and pony show. At the end of the day, they always get
they get
confirmed. Unless it's
confirmed.
something crazy.
You're fired.
You're a bad guy.
And you just
Yeah, he wants them in post immediately so they can
Yeah.
start making change immediately, which I get, so we'll see. And if Congress supports it and there's a majority there, 52, 53 or whatever it is, they can recess that and roll on. Although I guess the Dems can filibuster, but I don't know, dude. It's wild. It's gonna
They
be crazy
will
times.
filibuster, I promise you. And Paul Rogers says, "Will I lose my diet due RFK?" That is potentially at risk.
If
They will
diet
find a way.
sodas are lost, they're going to make January 6th look like a playground. I will tell you that. If they take away Diet Coke from this country.
I don't think I think that RFK Jr. knows he can't do it all in one sweep. And I've even heard him say, I eat French fries. You're going to do that stuff from time to time. It's just overall the diet that we're feeding our children. And I look around.
It's terrible. It is
It
overall.
is terrible. Everything in
great.
my house.
I'm glad he's there. I think it's going to be nothing but good that's going to come out of this. You know what I mean?
But I think it's going to drive the price up of everything. And I don't know if everybody's prepared for that necessarily.
I'm hoping his tactic behind it is not like ban stuff he deems unhealthy and push his healthy stuff. I'm hoping it's more of find economic ways so that the healthier options can battle with the unhealthy options and people can then naturally take those, it should be education and then finding ways we can make these products as cheap or if not cheaper than what's already out there.
I totally agree. Just creating and expanding access. Let's figure out how we do that. Like you said, let's don't just ban the bad. Let's just offer better options for the good and promote good and make sure let's find a way to make it accessible for everybody. And education. You know what I mean? That's just a huge part of it, right? So I think that's going to be the biggest challenge and the biggest opportunity as well. So, I think it's good. Yeah. I don't think anybody's going to go, hold on. We're not going to sink the ship. You know what I mean? In order to do this, no, it's not worth. The same thing.
Kraft ain't going out of
with
business.
Elon with electric cars versus gas. You still got to have fossil fuel vehicles and trucks and everything to keep this country rolling. Like even Elon recognizes that, so they're not going to let him do that with food when Elon's not even doing that with cars. Right?
No,
so
no. But if we can get back to making food like when we were kids, and I was having this conversation with a gentleman yesterday. He kind of turned me on to this guy. I'm looking at my notes. I wrote it down. Dr. or Bobby Parrish. I think it's Parrish. He's on YouTube. He makes soaps and stuff like that. These are all these natural things that take a lot of those chemicals and stuff out that RFK Jr. is talking about. And he has a Dr. Bronner as well. He just started telling me. I wrote these down to start going down some of these rabbit holes. Our diet is just so toxic that he and his wife both suffered from something. Just he had indigestion a lot, upset stomachs, just gut health was bad, which is what all of that stuff leads to. It's poisons, and they started eating clean. They eat more vegan like, which that would be damn near impossible for me to do. But I get it. They're eating clean. They're using clean soaps, clean products, everything, washing their clothes in the different detergents and stuff that they're making that is not doesn't have, they're chemical free or are free from all that stuff, which would be going back to the ways it was in Red Dead Redemption 2 and
Oh
back
yeah.
in those days of making lye and soap
Yes.
out of lye
Yeah.
and stuff like
And
that,
that also solves a lot of problems with people, instead of going to the doctor and, getting a surgery, taking a pill. A lot of people have come out over the past 10 years with this new science and gut health and everything of just like, instead of addressing the symptoms, address the cause of the symptoms. And a lot of that is health, diet, that can cure a lot. So
Yeah,
No,
this
it is.
guy
You get
said,
it. You put garbage into it, you're gonna get garbage out. I mean, that's just a simple little, we all know that. And but when,
yep,
when you look at food, dude, it's if you're opening something out of a package, to me, it's just so simple. If you're opening something out of a package, like, you know what? You have to do it from time to time, but just no, that's really not good. It needs to be fresh fruits and vegetables, meats. Make sure you know where you're sourcing them from, dude. That's what it's all about. If it's less packages that you're using, shop at the walls of a grocery store instead of the inside aisles as much. If most of your consumption's coming out there, you're probably going to be okay. You can always keep fine tuning this thing and start doing. I get the soaps and some of the chemicals and all that stuff, but like at the end of the day, what you're putting into your body,
that's your fuel.
yeah,
That's
dude,
right.
the fuel that you're doing, and I'm a big believer cancer is a foodborne illness, and so it's like eat good stuff, man. You know what I mean? Eat fresh or good stuff. So
I'm
whatever.
hoping that is going to be the case with RFK Jr., that he's going to help to get America's diet at least moving back in the right direction. 4 years is not enough to change everything but if we can stop where we're going, where we've been going, and maybe start to just reverse that course a little bit, hopefully after this administration, that momentum will continue and we can start to reverse some of that a little bit. And, I mean, it ain't going to be good for the pharmaceutical companies that are out there, and people won't be taking as much medicine and stuff like that, but would be good for the population, which needs to repopulate, by the way. And so we need a healthy world that is repopulating. Otherwise, some narcissist is going to blow this whole damn place up, like we talked about at the very
You're right.
beginning of the show.
You're
You
right.
know,
You're right. You said something a minute ago. I got thinking about that Charlie Daniels song, "Simple Man." You got to watch where you're going and know where you've been. And it's like, hey, I don't know why that's the first thing that came to mind when you said that, though. But that's absolutely true. You know what I mean? Like, just keep it simple, man. You know what I mean? So
just
yeah,
keep it simple, man. That's
it really
exactly
is.
right. That same guy told me, I thought you may find this interesting, Blasey. He said when he has an upset stomach, he drinks warm peppermint tea. And he's like, that first sip or two, once he got his gut right, he's like, if my stomach got a little upset, I'll just drink a little peppermint tea, and instantly went away. It's like, huh, that's
Huh.
interesting. So we were doing an enrollment. We were
I'm gonna
talking about
write that
enrolling
down.
in the benefits and all of that stuff, and our conversation just went way off of the rails. I don't
Oh,
know how we even got to that, but I told him, I was like, dude, I'm writing down stuff on a sticky note right now. You're educating me. I'm supposed to be educating you about insurance products. Here I am about to have all I want of deep rabbit holes. Y'all heard it here first.
Oh yeah.
Expect sometime in the next few months for us to address some of this stuff. Whenever you see old Tiggy's growing his hair out, he looks like a hippie, and I smell like one too because I dove into all these earthy things. We'll see if that takes place.
hey, I mean, you never
It'd be
know.
good for you.
That's
Hey,
probably when the aliens will come. You'll be in the woods somewhere. You'll be like,
And
"Yeah,
I'm
I
gonna
see
be
him."
like, you know what? I should have
he,
just kept that
can't
damn
even get him.
ivory soap.
He won't even get near that microphone anymore. He found out about what it does to him. Now he's across the room yelling at me like, "Dude, our shows are like they're getting worse, buddy."
You're getting worse. That's right. Paul says I have coffee black. It's an acquired taste, but it's worth. I don't drink a lot of coffee, but it's the only way I do drink coffee. The very
Yeah.
few times I drink coffee, I drink it straight.
I remember this guy, and that's good, Paul, to say that, because there's this dude I was actually training in a different job, and he came in as a trainee. He's from, where was he from? Like Indiana, I think. And so I was making coffee that morning. I didn't drink a lot of coffee up to then. I just started it when my oldest son was born to stay awake. And so I was drinking coffee, and I would put a little creamer in there, put a little bit of sugar in there, and he was like, "Man," he said, "I drink my coffee black now." He said, "And how I did it was this guy told me." He said, "Each day," he said, "I want you to start drinking it black." He said, "I know you won't like it to begin with." He said, "But you take a sip of that coffee, and every time you take a sip, you verbally, like audibly say, 'That's the best sip of coffee I've ever had in my life.'" And he said, "You do that every single time." He said, "I promise you in like a week, it'll be just like what you're experiencing right now. Like, you know what I mean? Like the same effect." And it's exactly what, and I started doing it. I look like an idiot at times, you know, I mean, this is the best cup of coffee I've ever had in my life. And I was like, whatever. You know, I was skeptical. Dude, sure enough, it changed where black coffee, I drink black coffee. You know what I mean? Like
But
every once in a while I'll throw something in there if it's the worst coffee ever at a crappy hotel, you know what I mean? Just to make it drinkable. But like good coffee, you don't need anything.
do you think that was more of a psychological ploy, and it started to taste better? It still tasted the same as you did on that first sip. But
Absolutely, it is. My
yeah.
mind, I told myself that. Like, yeah, I laid down those neural pathways in my brain and associated that with the positive experience every time I took a sip. Absolutely. You know what I mean? Yes, I
I do
retrained my
that with a
brain.
lot of things.
Yeah, you have to.
Tailgating is one of them.
I'm not that drunk right now.
No, I am not. I'm not tonight at all. But don't judge the footage that you'll see in Tales from the Tailgate. We had a good time.
It was good. It was great.
Well, boys, anything else y'all need to get off your chest?
I'll just say thank you guys for having me again. Really excited to see where this leads us in the future, honestly. And I know this was spontaneous this time. Let's plan in another couple months. Let's see what comes out. I would love to do another deep dive. Would love to send you some stuff, Tigs, to get on the big screen, some good footage, because I know that's coming. So
I love it. I love it. We'll plan on doing that probably just shortly right after the first of the year. We'll have another PowerPoint presentation, drop videos, do all of that stuff. So yeah,
hopefully by then my friend's in the big house and she can let us privy to some, you know. We'll see. We'll see.
Maybe she even joins us that night. Maybe
the year
joins us that night.
Of the alien. The year of the alien.
The year of the alien. Well, good seeing everybody. Appreciate y'all chiming in, tuning in, listening. This is more of just like a regular show that we normally film, Blasey, and
it is.
We had a little audience.
Yes.
Not as much interaction tonight. They interacted with themselves. We'll get back to that on our Thanksgiving show that we're going to do that week sometime. So until then, no live next week. We'll see y'all then.
Later.